We have with us Keith Couch, the Senior Development for Business Development at Honeywell UOP. Welcome, Mr. Keith.
Well, thank you and the OGN team for having me today.
Keith, what are you doing at the GDA?
At the GDA, my function here was to moderate a panel that's focused on the energy transition and how do existing refiners, or how can existing refiners move from where they're at today to a more sustainable future.
And what are the insights from that panel?
A lot of the insights of that panel is there's not going to be any one thing that helps the world become more sustainable and decarbonize. It's going to be a basket of technology solutions. We're going to range from things like carbon capture, sequestration, battery power, battery storage, solar, wind, green hydrogen, blue hydrogen, ammonia, liquid organic hydrogen carriers. There's a whole mix of things, of technology solutions that the world can bring to help us decarbonize and be more sustainable in the process.
And is the world actually accepting that? There's like one camp against the other. Some say that oil and gas should go. Some say it should stay. Some say no, it should be in between. What are your take? Is your take on it?
Well, I think there's definitely a mix of views in the world, like there is with any topic. I think part of the reality of the world is we are in an ESG focused climate where COVID helped bring about a larger global focus on decarbonization, on sustainability. Should we be, as a society, be doing more with less? Absolutely. So what does that mean? It's going to be a transition. It's going to be a journey that each and every firm has to look at and understand their ability to pay for projects, to be able to resource projects from manpower, and to be able to develop those and implement them across time. When we look at what refiners can do, there's the simple things like converting steam turbines into electric motors. Power projects, solar, wind, behind the meter, with inside of the refinery to help offset the amount of power that they're pulling in over the fence. Control systems, to be able to operate those facilities more efficiently each and every day. Getting more efficiency out of the assets each and every day is critical to being able to take everything to the next level. Once we baseline a facility and an operation, now we can start truly quantifying the cost benefit associated with all of the other applications to be able to decarbonize and become more efficient.
Before I get to the question of the regional refiners and how they're coping with the change in, let's say, energy transition and all that is changed in the energy landscape, I want to know how Honeywell UOP is helping the refiners.
When we start off helping a refiner, we've identified 6 fundamental efficiencies. It's very common for a customer to come in or a firm to come in and say, we want to be the most efficient in our operations. So what does that mean? And we realize there's 6 fundamental efficiencies we call the UOP E6. Carbon. We have to put the right molecules in the right process units. We want to do the least amount of work on those molecules to get them to where we want them to be. Hydrogen. We want to put it on to do good things, take it off to do good things, and do that as few times as possible. When we get that right, our utilities come down. When we get that right, our emissions, our CO2 footprint, our NOx, our SOx, all of our utilities and emissions are tied together. The 5th efficiency, water. Many of the places of industrial expansion and growth, their intention with society, civil, agriculture, farming, there's a lot of demands for water. When we look at places that are high industry sectors of the world, many are in some of the most water-stressed areas of the world. We have to stop treating water as a utility. We have to treat it as a scarce resource. We can do zero water discharge designs. We can operate zero water discharge facilities. Those 5 efficiencies, carbon, hydrogen, utilities, emissions, water, treated as a scarce resource, our intention with the capital. We have to fund these projects. We have to be able to make smart investment decisions as we look at reducing our CO2 footprint.
As a company that's driving ahead digitalization and efficiency, how do you keep ahead of, let's say, the times or the competition, if I may say, ahead of the future as well?
Well, we're in competition with ourselves each and every day. We want to be more efficient each and every day. When we roll out digital platforms, we're always looking at what's the lowest cost means to measure the right things to make them right material response. And then the big challenge of once I get all that data that's connected, now I have to connect it to the end users. How am I going to communicate what needs to be changed, what needs to be improved? Automatic emails, text messages to process engineers to help them understand, hey, I need to take a look at this. Right? So much of it's about grabbing the attention. Third major component, I can connect, I can have all that data, but my business operations have to be in position to be able to leverage that data and that information. When we have structural inefficiencies in the organization, that data has structural inefficiencies on how it's used, right? So we have to also work with customers to model their business culture and to change that business culture across time. When we do that right, connected drives a tremendous amount of power to the end user.
Now about the regional refiners, the downstream and the upstream energy sector in general, how much do you think they are in line with the changes that we see in the energy sector? Your view?
Absolutely. One of the things that's starting to become apparent, investors want to see the CO2 footprint per ton of product, or the CO2 footprint per octane barrel, or the CO2 footprint per dollar invested. That's causing us to quantify the CO2 footprint. And that's happening across the entire supply chain. When you look at a company like Equinor, on their website, they publish the crude assay sheets. And on those crude assay sheets, it's an estimation included on the CO2 footprint to produce a barrel of oil from a specific field. That's amazing to me. Now, the rules for how to measure and quantify the CO2 footprint aren't finalized yet. We have the United States Financial Accounting Standards Board and the IFRS internationally working to write those rules. And they expect to be done in 3 to 5 years from this year. So a lot of firms are almost paralyzed waiting on the rules. Others are saying, we're going to take our best guess at writing what we think is a responsible calculation for that CO2 footprint. We're going to apply it, and we're also going to open it up. We're going to allow others to peer review that. But when the final rules are actually launched, they're going to be in position to be able to very rapidly update their calculations. Once we get a baseline, then we truly understand how to quantify the changes and the improvements to decarbonize across time.